putting a lot of effort for the last.
Yeah, I just realized that.
That's the hobby. Also, yeah, the process of what you yourselves. You but the bird says that they all. Yeah, why now we're actually explaining this. It's a seat of what you could be chosen.
What we're going to try and do the next 2 weeks is continue what we've been speaking for the last 2 weeks, and more maybe, is about Mashiach. You know, it's a subject which is spoken about in many different circles. Some it's done in a very superficial way, but some it's done in a very, very deep way, and people learn about it. And the more you learn about it, the more you get a connection to the concept. And more important than the connection to the concept is actually understanding what is being demanded from us. That we have a mitzvah of the Yud Gimel Ikrim, which the Rambam holds. That means that it's our tenet of faith. And we're going to see how strong it is to believe in Mashiach. It's not good enough just to believe in Mashiach, but there's actually a commandment to be mechakalai, to be awaiting him. What does that mean? What does it mean? What do you mean? You've got to sit there with your awaiting for Mashiach. So we're going to see an interesting. So we're going to carry on about Mashiach a little bit. We haven't finished Mashiach. He hasn't yet come. So we have to deal with it. We have to deal with the situation of life that Mashiach's not here. So we're continually going through a very interesting Sefer written by Daniel Gladstein, although the Chofetz Chaim is the one who actually wrote it. But he does some nice, interesting points. And now that you're learning about, soon you're going to be learning about the Gulas Mitzrayim. You're going to see that Gulas Mitzrayim is intertwined many different ways with the final Gula. Now, in fact, I don't remember whether you remember, but remember that shir that I gave on the din of Mechias HaMolek. Why is Mechias HaMolek got to do with Yetzias Mitzrayim? That's when Mashiach comes. That's when we have to do the mitzvah of Mechias HaMolek. So I gave the shir at the time. I told you
like Mitzrayim had
that it was exactly the same. There was a Mechias HaMolek that happened, and we explained that the world saw Yetzias Mitzrayim. The world saw Yetzias Mitzrayim. The whole world was involved in it. The known world heard about the crazinesses that was going on in Mitzrayim, and it was a world event. Almost like what happened yesterday over there with Trump going into Venezuela, right? A world event, right? The world is all talking about it. It was a world event. There was a world event in Yetzias Mitzrayim. It's a fascinating concept, the world event. So Yetzias Mitzrayim was a world event. Every newspaper in the Times, in the local, the Mitzrayim Times had, and not just Mitzrayim Times, but even Ethiopian Times and the other places around that area, the Palestine Times, all had a very, very a big article about the goings of happening of Yetzias Mitzrayim. In the parallel to that,
It's possible they had technology back then. I'm just saying. You'd think how
we actually
certain technology. Obviously, they made the pyramids. Then they did certain technology.
So we're talking about bomb.
Technology that got lost. It's this. There was a different type of technology, but they were able to communicate from one side.
They had
Their
technology
throughout the world. How was that possible? There was something. There was some form of communication.
According to the Medrash, there's a Medrash that explains that that there were mechanical dogs that almost worked like radar. If you look at the Medrash, it says that the dogs, when you walk past them, they had a sense of feeling, knowledge, and they would make the noise of a dog barking, but they were just totally mechanical. It was not a real dog. You go to one pshat in the Medrash, and by the way, we have also in there's so many different parallels to what they had. They don't know today how they did the mummying of old. The mummies of old, the amount of knowledge that they were able to drain the blood out. Today, this is all a very, very high science. It's a very, very big science, getting rid of the blood. And the idea that they were able to get to the knowledge of of mummying. Mummying was an amazing, it's considered a phenomenon which is not duplicable.
The
It's-
Rebbe is saying that the whole world knew about Tzias Mitzrayim. So they're saying there could have been some technology back then, and the whole world know about it.
Right, you see just spread that everywhere.
It was spread everywhere. It
So
was,
that there's a measure that the dogs, the Yachad Kal the Shaiman, that the
That
dogs.
was gonna be Mark.
yeah, no, but dogs didn't bark, but it was mechanical dogs. It was not actual real dogs. They had a around Mitzrayim. There's a madrash that says that around Mitzrayim they had these dogs that were mechanical. That when you walked past it, it all of a sudden created an alarm system.
Yeah.
They had the concept.
Right?
Huh?
The slates.
Yeah, can't run away. So it was a mechanical concept. Yeah, Kavir Kishuv. We understand it as, again, Kishuv is a very interesting word which that we can say, you can touch on many different things. Kishuv involves tumah. That's zecher. It was involved, they used tumah, but how exactly it was done, we can use today's technology to understand a lot of those things. In other words,
They were extremely sophisticated.
extremely
The
sophisticated.
Egyptians, they had some form of electricity. They had a battery. They found some type
Yeah.
of massive battery
Okay.
that they reinvented. They had their technology was. They don't even know how they made the pyramids exactly.
Yeah. It's okay. So let's go. Let's go to this point. And the Gulas Mitzrayim is going to, and this is what we're going to learn over here. Kimei Tzes Chomes Mitzrayim. So we're going to understand what this means exactly. But let me just show you. First of all, he quotes over here Rabbi Gladstein from Rabbeinu Yechiel of Corbiel. He was born in France. He was a student of Rabbi Yechiel. That's right. He's one of the Rishonim, correct? And he wrote Sefer Mitzvahs, the Smack. Smack. He was the Smack. And he writes over here, where is the mitzvah of Mashiach in the Torah? And it'd be shocking to know that he learns it from the Pasuk of Anochi Hashem Lekecha Asher Yisicha Me'etz Mitzrayim. Mibeis Avodim. V'yadat, the Smack reference the Pasuk, V'yadat Hashem v'Yeshivas Lavach Hashem Olakim B'mal Shema Malchus V'dachas. He says, this first all-important mitzvah is to trust in the existence of Hashem, as well as to believe that He took us out of Mitzrayim. And included in this mitzvah is our belief that Hashem rules over the world in its entirety, and everything that transpires is a result of Hashem's will. And then he says, a lashon, a chiddush. Inherent in this instruction to believe in Jesus Mitzrayim is a commandment to trust and yearn for the final redemption in the coming of Mashiach. And we're going to see something very interesting in Rabbeinu Bachya, a very big chiddush. So supposedly sure, eagerly awaiting Mashiach's arrival is so basic and fundamental that it is part and parcel of the very first mitzvah in the Torah. So why would belief in Jesus Mitzrayim included in the mitzvah of trusting in the Kimmel Mitzrayim? So he says, we use that lotion, Kimei Tzeschi Mitzrayim, right? And we actually say in one of the kinnis. Yeah, but but also no, we have it in our kinnis that we say that we could say Mishlayim, could say Mitzrayim, right? So there's another pasuk that says, Kimei Tzescha Me'es Mitzrayim Arenu Niflois. You'll see, as in the days that when you left Mitzrayim, I'll show you also niflois. I'm going to show you wonders. And Chazal learn from over here. It's not just Tammuz is saying you're going to see miracles, but they say you're going to see mamish, says Rabbeinu Bachai, and he says that all the Nevi'im, this is what Rabbeinu Bachai says, that maskimim peh echad, that the Gula Shlema will parallel the first Gula and the redemption Mitzrayim. And he goes, I don't know whether you've looked at the news, but you can look it up on your little toy over here, and you'll see that in Iran, there's like water that's all red. They've got, you read about they're just now, it happened now. It happened also during just a few days before the battle over there, the 12-day war, whatever it was. The waters turned red. Now it's happened before. Look it up if you don't believe me.
No, I'll just believe you.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
It's fascinating. Huh?
Which water?
I don't know which one it
it's
is.
interesting because of all the we're getting now into the parshios that start off with like.
I
we'll
know,
see-
Gula.
Harav,
That's right. Correct. That's exactly what the Ben Bach is going to
You're
say.
saying that's happening now.
That's right. And that's what.
Jeez, we need Mashiach.
Okay, so listen what's going on over here.
Enough already. I can't handle this world,
Okay,
this
please.
dullness anymore. Please.
Okay. No,
Beach in Iran turns red after rain. Iran blood rain. Wow. Iran's Formosa island glows red. Why Iran's beach turns blood red.
Okay, it's fascinating. These concepts.
All 2 weeks ago.
Just 2 weeks ago. Okay, so we're not. I'm just saying things.
English turning into the dumb.
Usually a natural phenomenon on Hormuz Island where
Yeah.
rainfall washes iron roots
So it makes
from
it
the
to the
fierce
red.
red beach into the sea, creating vibrant crimson colors. It
didn't happen.
linked to the island's volcanic geology and
Okay, but the point I'm trying to bring out is a point that there's going to be analogy in times. Of course, there's going to be a physical reason for it, because that's what they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, but the idea that it happened in Iran and it's happening just in that area
Right.
is something to wake up and say, "Come on, that's not just damn a story." Let it be green. What's up is red. Well, what's the message of that
Now, what
red?
can we take from it?
As we're going to see, that there's going to be at the time.
Because they have red tie. It's different. It's pollution.
Oh, yeah, but
Can't
that
swim in it when that's different.
okay, that could be it.
Not really red. This is red.
Okay, Hashem causes the water of Mitzrayim to turn into blood. Now this will happen again, says Rabbeinu Bachya, at the time of Mashiach. V'nasati moivsim b'ashmayim ba'aretz dam va'esh v'simras asham. So that's what says the Apostle. Yeah, right. So dam is referring to blood. There's going to be.
We see with all.
That's what's going on in Iran. Also the same thing.
That's easy.
That's very simple. What's going on over here, right? So the Egyptians suffered from the market. He wants to go even much further. He wants, I could say, there's going to be a replication of Tzvadeya and Kinim and Harav, but in a different format. In other words, it won't be exactly, but there's going to be noise like the frogs. It's going to be disturbing like the frogs. There's going to be a lot of things that's going to be disturbing. He says, as regards the I don't even know how to read this word. Cacophonous.
Cacophony. Cacophony.
Cacophony?
Cacophony. You need the large noise, raucous noise.
Chaos.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, thank you so much.
Chaotic noise.
Chaotic noise. That
That was
happens.
his English teacher. That's why he knows.
Okay.
For all we know, maybe, yeah.
But he says that noise is going to be happening, and there's going to be a horrible, bone-chilling sound.
Mr. Shiva, reading on the news that in the Straits of Hormuz in Iran, the water turned red. Mamish turned red.
So I'm
Recently, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
It came from the beach.
Yeah, but
Just say, nice to Mashiach.
I'm trying to bring out a voice.
Sure, but the water's all just turned red. Rare reeful and the soil.
And he's saying that from the
But Bachai says that there's man of Mashiach. This is what we're going to learn a little bit over here. That he says it's going to be. He learns the smack learns. Let's go from the beginning again. That the smack learns that the idea of Mashiach is going to be to the point that it's. How do I know the mitzvah? From Anochi Hashem Mitzrayim, it's going to be from there alone. That just like Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim, we have a mitzvah to know that the Kemet Seischem Mitzrayim is the Gula over. There's going to be a Gula, and that's what he writes. He writes is a chiyuv from that mitzvah from Anochi. In the mitzvah of Anochi is the mitzvah of to believe that the mitzvah and be sure that the Shiach is going to come, the final goal is going to come. So he says, and that's what we say, and the Bein Bachya learns that, or Bein Bachai, depending who you're talking to, right? That they all learn unanimously. He says that the Gula Shlema will parallel the first Gula to the point. He says there's going to be literally things that are going to be happening that are going to be. And we started off with the blood. Then he says, what's going to be the second one? There's going to be frogs. Right? There's going to be frogs. So the frogs, he said, the plague of frogs, and Edom will also contend with this horrible, and what's that word again?
Cacophonous.
Cacophonous. I can't cacophony. Please help me. Okay, so it says that the Novi Yeshaya.
Yeah, the donations of Summer Sasham. Where's the Tzfadeh? Help us out. Where?
Yeah. So he says within, he says no. He says it's not. He says even though this Dom Va'ishim, that's clear. The domination is going to be, but he says within that we're even going to get the next level, which is just the Tzfadeya and the Kinim and the Harav, and he goes through like this, and he misses out Kinim, but he goes through the psukim in Novi that talk about Kol Shon Me'er. There's going to be a sound of Shon, which means tumult. Yeah, tumult. Kol Me'hechol. There's going to be a sound coming from the sanctuary from. It sounds like from the area around the the mosques over there. Kol Hashem b'shalom gemul l'chayvav. There's going to be a sound of Hashem dealing retribution with his enemy. There's going to be a sound. There's going to be a lot of noise, like the sound when you hear a little B-2 bomber, going over a little area, right? There's going to be a nice sound. There's going to be a very deafening sound. That's going to literally deal retribution to his enemies. In Makkah's Harav, he quotes another pasuk. He quotes a pasuk in Yeshaya also. Virei shuha ka'as v'kipud. He says it means owls and bitterns. I don't know what bitterns are, but B-I-T-T-E-R-N-S. Okay, please help me with that. Is a great owl will occupy it. There's going to be great owls and ravens will dwell there. And Ibn Chai mentions all the Makish in sequence and demonstrating that they will occur in the time of the future. This is a Moediga Chiddush that he's holding, that Kemet Seisim in Mitzrayim is exactly not just an idea that there's going to be miracles like there was miracles, but there's actually going to be a duplication of the miracles.
Scary if you think about Marcus Torah.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. There's going to be that noise.
Bird. A bird. Bittern.
Oh,
Bird.
that's a bird.
Type of
But
bird.
10 birds. Okay,
Bird.
that's
The bird.
okay.
Oh,
Fine.
bitterness.
Okay, without your help, I tell you, I won't be able to carry on a bit. So now we're going to hear a very, very interesting point. And I'm not going to go too much, but it goes over here from Rabbi Yaakov of Lissa, which is the famous Baal Sivas HaMishpat, right? His name is Loberbaum. I never knew that. And it says, I know a lot of things, but this is one of them. And that is, his name was Loberbaum, S-L-O-R-B-E-R.
Overbound stain.
Loberbaum. Steen is after Ek. Okay, now he says like this. Al achas kama v'kama, tebu chamalas. We say that in the Haggadah. He says that it means like this: that the incredible miracles that Hashem performed in Klal and Yitzchok Mitzrayim were not just one events, but al kama v'kama tebu chamalas. They're going to be repeated, and they're going to happen again. When it's going to come out of the final galus. And he even goes out another thing. He says like this: you should know in our Sedras that we're going to be learning Shmois Ve'era Boy, we're going to see something very interesting. In the Torah, it writes the Yitzchok Mitzrayim. One place it says it's going to be after 430 years. One place it says 400 years, and one place it says 210 years. If you look in Sefer Daniel, it says that the Mashiach final will come after 1,150 years. And another place says 1,290 years, and then 1,335 years. Now, just like over there by Mitzrayim, we had to wait till afterwards, and then we worked exactly how it went backwards. That when it happened, then we said 430 years is from the Avraham Avinu, and the 400 years is from the Akedah, and then we went different times. So we said the 210 years was only with the Yeshivas Akates. Same thing also was likewise. We will call them, this is what he says, this is what the Bachir says. We got the same calculations to the point exactly like in Daniel, like by the Gulas Mitzrayim, and likewise we're currently embroiled in a bitter exile, and we have no clarity regarding what the three different calculations are brought in Daniel. However, we firmly believe that the Gula takes place. It will all become clear, and with those numbers, 1,150, 1,290, and 1,335 have no meaning today, but they correspond to the idea of the 430, 400, and 210.
And the video Friday went out early.
Yes, that's right.
And the CAU.
That's it. That's okay. Okay, we're going to get there. But now we're going to see something very
Good
interesting.
there's three numbers, by the way.
Yes.
No, I'll tell you why.
Let's hear.
Because not by the eagle they miscalculated.
Yeah, that had one.
If there was one number here, sometime in the future they'd all be like, hey, where's Mashiach? That's it. And who knows what happened. So here, this three, they don't know what to do. So like, okay, no one knows. So they don't do some ego again.
Where do we see that? We see that by the 70 years that they knew about. Every 70 years.
Summer.
So everybody got messed up. And that's how the whole nace of the Purim happened.
Here, it's purposely obscure.
It's not happening. It's not happening.
So let's carry on a little bit more. But he now gets to a very interesting point. The Rambam, we're going to hear Priska Rav's chat in Ani Mami. It's very interesting. You never thought about the question. I never thought the question. But again, maybe the Rav maybe thought of the question. In all of the Rambam the Rambam keeps his musa at the end. You know, if he writes any little bit of musa, he's not writing. He's basically a halacha sefer. The ani mamins were principles. This is a principle of it. So if we come to, he says the ava pishias mameya. What's the ava pi? Why is he asking a question? The ava pishias mameya, even though he's taking a long time, but don't worry, I'm still waiting for him. He says l'chayra is a pella that the Rambam should write it as it's not negay for the halacha. The mitzvah is ani ma'amun shlema b'vis haMashiach. But why say about myself? She's my man, even the Mashiach's not here. But don't worry, it's not the style of the Rambam to write that. There's going to be a mudig biskarov pshat in those words. You the kasha?
How the Rambam normally write?
There are simply ani mama mun shlema b'vias haMashiach, like he did every other one. He says ani mama mun shlema she'abois boy ein neguf le'asigu masiga guf ve'ele shum dim klal. And you should write va'ava pisha kasus b'Torah, the Yad Hashem and Af Hashem and other things. It's just a marshal.
There's no goofiness about it.
There's no goof about him. So even though the Torah writes it, why doesn't it say va'afal? Why over here to write va'afal? It's a good question. Why is the Rambam, who's passing in halacha, writing, is the more lotion of Tesis? Ve'im taima, that's Tesis' way of talking. Ve'im taima. You get the question?
No.
We never thought about it. Ani man be'bamunu shlema b'vias haMashiach. There's a gorgeous song we sang last week. We're going to sing it again.
Really know.
But here's the question: where in the world that we already learned from Anochi? But let's go to a little point. And that is a very interesting question, that why does the Rambam go out of his way to say something which is not typical? He says, and even though it's taking a long time, but still I'm waiting for him. What is he trying to say? What's he trying to add on? That's not the Rambam. The Rambam, like he asks the kasha, and this way Ramesh Bergman asks the kasha, he says, that it says, he doesn't have any body, but Yad Hashem, Af Hashem, everything else. But that's all just a description for us to understand it. It's in the description. So why does the Rambam write it just by Amunah Hashem? You can sit there and enjoy. But just by
he does say Avafal Pishis is the Rambam.
It's the Rambam. That's the Rambam. That's why in the Briskerov asks the Kasha. The Meir give me a course Briskerov. And he says, there's a murdiga message over here. A murdiga halacha. There's two halachas in Bris HaMashiach. And to be mechakel and no, the va'avapi is not true, but the va'avapi is part of the chakalei. We'll see. Now it quotes like this. In Hilchos Lochem, the Rambam writes. Imam went to a very interesting little gag. The Hilchos Lochem Rambam writes the Taka Nachanami. You got a chiv, and if a person doesn't believe in it, he writes as very important halacha that you've got to believe in it, and if somebody doesn't wait in it, is considered a kaifer. Not believing Mashiach and not yearning Mashiach is a kaifer. So he says there are two distinct tenets. First, I believe with complete faith that comes from Mashiach. Then the Rambam writes something which is just the nakuda. Even though he may delay, but I'm not in that pasha. I am always waiting him daily. I am in the matzav that my mind, and that is not a question and answer. Rather, it's a second tenet of the faith. No, it's 1A and 1B. And then, as a fact, not the avapi is the question. Even though, like as if I'm questioning, even though it's taking a long time, no. I have a chiv too, because even though it's taking a long time, I have a chiv of chikoi, irrespective of whether he's taking a short time or a long time. But the point about it is, my chikoi is not based on the fact that it's taking a long time. I have a chiv, even though everything around me doesn't say Mashiach. I don't know anything about Mashiach. There's nothing around me that talks about Mashiach. I have a chiyuv every day. I have a pishis mameh, even though it's taking time. That's not in any way taking away from another obligation.
Question that always bothers me. If Mashiach is such a fundamental point, why doesn't the Torah mention it straight out?
He asked
Why is
that
he hiding
question.
it in this?
A very important question, and he
I
asks
mean,
that
that's
as a
the
question.
whole tafka to bring the sakin oilam b'malchus shakai b'chovnei basa. Why are we
So-
hiding it?
Maybe
Should a critical obligation be sourced in the Chumash? This is the
Yeah,
question.
maybe
Seemingly absent.
I mean, maybe by Bilam it was sourced there, but even then,
So he asked that kasha, and basically he uses the smack as the answer. That according to and the Rambam himself says it's written in the Chumash, and he says that somebody doesn't believe in Mashiach is because there's going to be many allusions in the Torah, and you have to understand believe the Torah.
how can you be obligated to believe in something that's not written before?
So he says
Yeah.
that's the kayach of a person to understand that when Chazal say something, right, you're looking at it as this two things. There's a pirish and the pasuk, right? There's a concept of what Chazal say is, and a guy gave me an example of that just recently in the idea of a way how we treat, words of Chazal. And he gave a marshal, and he said it very fast now. I've forgotten now what the example was, but it was like this: that for us, it's just as I state in the Torah, and as I explains Chazal. But according to, this is the Gemara, this is the Raya. Chazal say that when was it Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was the one who went to meet Aspara? Yeah, Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. So he went. He met the king as Asparianus,
Save.
and he said to him, "Shalom Aleichem Melech."
Oh yeah.
Right, like Shalom Aleichem Melech. So he said, "You're going to be killed twice." Yeah, one is that you called me a malach and I'm not the malach, and if you think that I am the malach, so then why did you come before now? Right, you got two reasons. So he said, I don't know. Listen, you are the malach because the pasuk says. So he said, what do you mean the pasuk? Like, so the pasuk says, but you know what I mean? There's many different ways to answer. But if you understand the pasuk, from the pasuk you believe that's so then Metziah says you have to be the king. I don't understand anything, but in my mind, as I state in the Torah says that you have to, the person who's, in the Nevi'im, but the pasuk says, no, what the pasuk says that it's going to be the one who's going to destroy the base of Mikdash is going to be
Yipol Alavonin.
Ba'adirei.
Yeah,
Oh,
Alavonin Ba'ada Yipol.
hear this? B'lavonim ba'adi yipol. Beautiful. B'lavonim adi yipol. So he says that refers to a king. So he didn't learn it as that's what Chazal says it's going to be. He says it's Metzias.
He let him
So
live.
and therefore he let him live because
Why do you care that he's calling him king if he's not king?
that's what I said. That's treason. That's that. In the days of old, you don't do that.
You don't do that.
You're too American. You're too American to even think of the question. I'm a little English, so I understand the
So
concept.
I was thinking from a different perspective. He was so loyal to the king that he's like, "How are you calling me king?" I'm not king.
Okay.
He sounds like a faker.
No. The answer is
You get yourself killed.
you don't call somebody.
Acknowledge you're the king. Someone says to you, "You're the king," and you acknowledge it. That's treason.
So that might be what it is.
Yeah.
He couldn't acknowledge it,
Right.
but deep down he wished he was king.
Of course.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm the king.
Okay.
Is that why you're wearing a pink shirt today?
Okay. So anyway, so he says that this.
My sister showed I borrowed.
So let me just face this point. So he says, where's the Rambam sources? He brings different sources, but then he says like this. He brings a pasuk.
Come up with these things. Yeah.
He brings two psukim, and there's a one pasuk, which is very interesting pasuk. He brings like this. He says, the Rambam writes in himself 3 psukim. He says, "V'shav." This is a pasuk in the Torah. These are psukim in the Torah. V'shav Hashem lekecha shvuscha v'shav v'kibescha mikol ha'am asher fitzcha Hashem lekecha shama. That Hashem will bring back all the people who are captive and have mercy upon you, and will gather you in from the people in which Hashem, your God, has scattered you. In other words, there'll be a day when we'll all come back. That's going to be kibbutz
It's
gadlus.
happening.
And there's another pasuk. If we're on the other end of the
It's
world,
happening. We're on
Hashem is going to gather us from there. Now it says another pasuk, one more pasuk. Arenu v'lo ato ashrenu v'lo karev.
That's Bill.
I shall see him, but not now. I shall look at him, but it's not near.
That's
In other words,
Bill.
I will see Mashiach, but he's not come. I will gaze towards him. And then he quotes a very fascinating Gemara, which explains a very interesting pasuk. And the Navi says, "Va'ehi lahem, I will be like to them, k'may shachal k'nama al derech Ashur." Now, Rashi says something very interesting in the word Ashur. I've never heard this Rashi. Very interesting Rashi. Rashi says, what do you mean? I'm going to be to them like a shachal, like a lion. Kanoma al derech Ashur, like a leopard. I will lurk like in waiting, al derech Ashur. And Rashi says, how do I know it means Ashur means to lurk, to hide, be in hiding, like a person anticipating the Nama coming and the guy trying to pounce on it. So he says, Rashi says a very interesting thing. Rashi says the word Ashur usually has a dogish in it, and that refers to the noun, the place called Assyria. Ashur means Assyria, right? When it doesn't have a dot inside the Ashur, you know what it means?
Decide to just
It's a verb.
Syria.
It's a verb. It means to lie in wait. You hear this? Ashur with a dot inside the shin means Assyria, and Ashur without that dot inside it means to lie in wait. Rashi on that pasuk.
Ashurenu.
Ashurenu v'leikarim. Oh, so that's the pasuk. Ashurenu v'leikarim. Oh, with these words, Jesus. Oh, Ashurenu. So I'm looking to Mashiach like a guy who's Ashur, who's laying in wait. That's where the Rambam's getting this halacha from. Like a person laying in wait, trying to catch the lion, right? Ashurenu, I'm lying in wait for Loikarim. He's not yet here. I can see him, but I know he's not here yet. But I'm lying in wait. That's where the Rambam gets. He says this is where the Rambam's getting it. He's using that pasuk over there, and that Rashi over there.
Sure, Rashi brings Ashurenu Lekoyev, Meshech, Yosef, Meshech, and David.
Oh yeah, he says that.
Rashi brings the pasuk. Rashi brings by Ashur. Rashi means the pasuk. Ashurenu.
Yeah, but you should know what it's fascinating that the Rambam. Oh, very interesting, because the Rambam himself, I saw the Shabbos Franklin speaks about it, but the Rambam himself talks about two Mashiachs, and he says they're both Mashiach ben David. When the Rambam brings it down, he says the first one's going to be David himself, and it says was David. David was the first Mashiach, and the second Mashiach is going to be Ben David. It's going to be from one of his descendants. And so Shabbos Franklin speaks about why doesn't he quote the Gemara in Sukkah? The Gemara in Sukkah speaks out the Mashiach ben Yosef, and it doesn't seem like the Rambam either passes like that Gemara. I don't know. I didn't go through it well enough to be able to answer the kasha, but he does speak out why the Rambam himself doesn't mention Mashiach ben Yosef. That's going off topic. But now I just want to bring out the point. So anyway, the Rambam from the pasuk Arenu v'le'atu Hashem le'karov, he learns that there's a chiv to look at him like a guy lying in waiting, and that's eagerly active looking for him to arrive. So that's where the Rambam gets his halacha, and he brings that as a pasuk to learn that person who doesn't wait for Mashiach. Now, Lemaisa, there's a lot of there's lots of points to talk about, but I want to talk about another final point. He talks about the Indian of waiting for Mashiach, and a person who thinks about you should know whenever you're doing a mitzvah, the Shmuel of Hamana, he writes over here, writes whenever you're doing a mitzvah, there's a chiyuv to think about which pasuk it's referring to. That's a good thing to do, that you should think of the pasuk in the Torah that's to do with the mitzvah. So he writes over here, so if so, l'chayra, based on what we just learned, you should have in mind when you think about Mashiach, Anecha Hashem Elakecha. Have in mind that pasuk of Anecha Hashem Elakecha, and also have in mind Arenu le'ata Hashem Elakecha, because those are two psukim. One's talking about the fact that Mashiach is going to come, and one is talking about the fact that I'm waiting for him. Now, there's one thing which the Chafetz Chaim writes, and that is Kilshu Oscha Kivinu Kol Hayayin. There's a lot of psukim that we say. What does it mean? Kilshu Oscha Kivinu Kol Hayayin. I'm waiting for him. Kivinu. I'm waiting.
Just that by Binyamin, right?
No, it's a pasuk. Yes. Yeah. By God. Was it God?
By Shemshin.
God. Don.
By Don. I'm sorry.
Don. So that he says that is a very important point about we daven a lot of words in davening. Samach David Abdecha. Yeah, and we say Shleim Erecha Berachman Toshuv, and we say sometimes Yibana Beis Hamikdash Meher B'Yameinu, and we say Yiskadav Shemei Rabba. Do we know what we're talking about in our davening? Our davening, we realize is replete with so many different parts to it. You know, when we sing the Sefer on Shabbos, we sing Ki mechakim anachnu loch. Do you know what we're saying? Ki mechakim anachnu loch.
Say Hashem
Yeah.
Ishi so
How many times are we talking and we're davening to Hashem?
Mashiach.
And he quotes a kuzari that says we're going to be careful with ourselves when we daven, that we shouldn't sound like birds chirping.
It's one of the reasons I wish I'd grown up just speaking native Hebrew and the English later. So many times I wish I could think.
I'm telling you,
No,
linear is
no,
my
I
life.
agree with you. Linear
Interlinear makes me
I want to be able to
It teach
think.
me parashah.
I want to be able to think in Hebrew.
Dumb.
Interlinear is great, but you're always full back on English. I want to think.
Can it make you permanently cross-eyed using interlinear to?
Okay.
Okay.
You want Mashiach to come or not?
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay. Come on. Okay. So here goes. Okay. Ilya.
I'm Mashia.
Okay. But that's not a statement. Okay. Okay. He writes.
You might be. You never know.
That's right.
I know.
Would the person know?
No,
Or
I
Hashem
think,
reveals it to him later in his life.
I was wondering.
You don't have
does
to worry
Mashiach
about
know he's Mashiach, or does
Start with
find
the
out?
linear silver, okay?
No, does Mashiach know he's Mashiach, or only finds out later?
So the Gemara does say he does.
He knows.
Why? Because the Gemara says a fascinating story. How do you know who Mashiach is?
He's the one that was.
It was an Oni
his bandage.
changing his bandages. He's an Ani. He's sitting at the gates of the city, and he's looked carefully, and you'll see that he's doing differently. Everybody else takes off all their bandages and changes them. He changes each one separately. Takes the old one off of one limb, and then he wraps himself up again right away. Takes the other one off the other limb and takes it. And then says why? Because he's waiting. He's just like we're waiting for Mashiach. He's waiting to be called, and he doesn't want to be caught with all his bandages off. So he's right away putting on the next bandage, so he shouldn't be off. So he's Zicha L'Chayra knows who he is, right? Otherwise, another pshat in the Gemara, right? So there is a person in this world.
Gates of Rome, right? The gates of Rome.
Okay, so again, you better than me. I don't remember. It didn't quote. I'm just quoting off topic. So I just want to say it like this. So I just want to just end off with this point that we have a lot of points in our davening, and you use the kuzari that says, and you could be Yaitza, your tzipui Yeshua by davening, just in your davening. That's just, if you concentrate on your davening, you will be listening, and especially the words of the Chofetz Chaim are so strong in Al Ken Lekav Lecha. It says you're using the Hashem Alekenu, you're promising, you're saying Hashem Al Ken Lekav Lecha. The words of Hashem Alekenu. You're talking to Hashem, and you're using His name, and you're saying, "I'm waiting for you." Liris mehera b'sefer zuzecha. Have in mind those words. That I want to see Mashiach. Just that's what you have in mind. So there's lots of little pieces in davening, and he says lashon of a kuzari, which I think is very important to know, that you shouldn't daven ketzifts of hazazir, like a bird chirping, Okay. He says a beautiful thing to know. If you daven with Lev Shalom, ubenefesh chafetza, you should know. If you concentrate on your davening, you're going to see miracles. Miracles that happened to our fathers in Mitzrayim. Don't think that it's just you are the gainer of your own davening. If you put effort into your davening, and let's think about how many times you talk about Hashem in davening. I mean, I'm not going to go into too much, but there's many different places. According to this, of course, from of all people, of Shimon Schwab writes the Halalukas are representing, the first Halukah represents the period. The first Halukah represents the period prior to Mashiach comings. The second Halukah discusses Mashiach arrival. The third Halukah is referring to Yemei HaMashiach, and the fourth Halukah is Tchias HaMesim, and Olam HaNeshamas is in the fifth Halukah. So, you don't even realize it, but this is Shimon Schwab's learning pshat in the Halukas. And he goes to different points, and we say so many times, we want Shalom, we want, in different psukim, and I can go through so many, but the ones which I think are very, very important is our Shemona Esrei.
If you think about it, it's so simple. All you have to do is put up a building where the dome is. It's not like people have to take flights to Eretz Yisrael, we come to Eretz, so it's not like major miracles need to happen for it's
It's
just
very
a regular thing. If you think about it,
He-
if we get control, if let's say
You need to
Trump
think
decides,
about-
Israel could do it, he gets the worlds together, we start building, we could have the base of Midrash within a few months.
We don't have a blueprint. We have a blueprint.
we have actually
Blueprint,
we have a
Look at these
basic
building.
blueprint.
People put up palaces in 10 days.
Okay,
in
but
Dubai,
there's
they're putting up 80 floors. I'm just saying,
I get it, but
it's
it's
so
very
yesh
specific
ma'ayin.
detail.
I'm saying it's so yesh
I get what you're
ma'ayin.
saying.
The details are written in Shlomo. Shlomo had the blueprint, but I'm saying you get all it could happen.
I
It's
get
not
what
like
you're saying.
back in the day for it to happen.
You have no idea how Shabbos, by the way,
out of
Shabbos.
hand. Here it's
I get what
people are already coming to Eretz Yisrael from all four corners. There's Africans coming. There's Mexicans coming.
By the way,
Europeans
I want to go down even. I want to go down even lower. Mashiach is every week. Every week we have a Mashiach. It's called Shabbos. The day of Shabbos is the day of what Mashiach will look like. And let me tell you what happens. I'll tell you what happens. You're going to have no going to work. Okay? You will have nothing else except you have Menucha. It's called Menucha Shabbos, right? You're going to have Einik. You're going to have a feeling you can do. And that's what, by the way, Mashiach's going to be when Mashiach comes. You're going to still have Yetzirah, according to Rambam. You're still going to have Yetzirah, but you're going to have no feeling to go to work. There's no need for you to go to work. I explained it the last time. Everyone, Shabbos is your day every week of the Me'ein Olam Haba. Me'ein Olam Haba, according to this Pshat, is the idea is of the world to come, not Me'ein Olam Haba of the world in Shemayim, Me'ein Olam Haba of the world to come. That you should know that when Mashiach will come, and this is the Rivas Pshat, not the Rambam's Pshat, because the Rivas has a different Pshat in Olam Haba, but the Rambam's Pshat is, the Rivas Pshat is, Olam Haba means the days of Mashiach. Olam Haba, the world that's going to be. The world that's going to be. So you should know Shabbos is a me'ain of what the world is going to be. That means you have an opportunity on Shabbos to live Mashiach in your time. Think about how you're going to behave on a Shabbos, and that is, and learning on a Shabbos and doing the right things on a Shabbos and enjoying your Shabbos, and that's what days of Mashiach are going to be. And you can reach high levels. So every Shabbos practice for when Mashiach comes. Do whatever you need to do on Shabbos, and you're doing your practice for when Mashiach comes. And there's so many times in Shabbos davening that we do that. And in fact, L'chol Doidi even says, by the way, you know how many times in L'chol Doidi you never even thought about it. But you know what, you say, oh my goodness, it's exactly what it is. It's not of a kumi.
Right.
If you want to know, I want to know about Pshat.
Don't want
Okay, that it refers to the 3 days, but you've got no choice. The 3 days, the 3 days of, and the 3 weeks of Pronarius, and the 7 weeks of getting of the Shiur. The 7 weeks that come afterwards of the Gula is because if you look at the first stands, it's just L'chol Doidi, and it's just about Shabbos, and that's the only thing that's like the 3 of Paralusa. And then the next 7 are all about getting up. It's 9 of Akumi, they're talking about it's wrong, right? I'm talking about Yerushalayim. Don't be embarrassed. And the idea is that we're coming to and then the ending off with Boy Kala is the final thing of Mashiach. We should be talking to the Bias Tzedek. Remain on me.
Me'ein Olam Haba.
Me'ein Olam Haba, Me'ein Olam Haba, Yom Shabbos Menucha, Me'ein Olam Haba, Me'ein Olam Haba, Me'ein Olam Haba, Shabbos Menucha. Olam is hanging by, yes, to live I still. Olam is hanging by, yes, to live I
I love you. I love you.
I was telling Rafal, I said, people don't realize to sit in an audience and sing is such a score. And nobody does it. Nobody does it. They sit there, they eat, they press. It's easy to sing on a stage. Sing